Hello everyone, it's Tana and welcome back to my channel. And welcome to my follow-up video for Stamp Wars 22. Yes, 22. I had such a blast even though I was super nervous. So we got this Northwood rubber stamps package in the mail here. And I believe she also sent, it was watercolor paper, but I think it was Northwood watercolor paper. I will double check and I will put everything in the description box below for you guys. There is a coupon code it's good for a week from when Stamp Wars started, I believe. I will put down the date and the coupon code in the description box below also. And also the link to Nancy Stamp's YouTube channel so you can watch Stamp Wars 22. If you've never watched Stamp Wars, I suggest you do so. It's really fun. And we open up our surprise package and we all have the same thing and we have to use it on the live with sabotages thrown in. It's a good time. So I took all the images in the rubber stamp sets and stamped them out. The first one's fairly simple and I'm doing all Copic coloring. So you're just going to see me running through some Copic coloring here. I'm not going to show you every leaf, so on and so forth, every pumpkin. I think I show you the first two pumpkins and a few leaves because I colored them different colors. And then we'll jump ahead to the next part. On the second one I made it a slimline and I used the haystack image and the bale of hay with the pumpkins on top, and you'll see, I believe I already showed you, but if not, you'll see how I stamped that out very shortly. So the reason I'm using Copics in my follow-up video is because we were required to use watercolors for the first card, and for the second card we had to stamp it on black cardstock and use colored pencils. And if you've been watching my videos lately, or will be watching my videos, so it might be a tiny bit of a spoiler here, I've been using a lot of watercolor lately, colored pencils, perfect pearls, so I wanted to get back to my Copics. I really missed them, guys. And let me say, when I went on vacation, I did not bring one single craft item with me. I was very proud of myself, but when I got towards the end of vacation, even though I did not want to go home, and I didn't want to leave the beach, you guys all know I believe Myrtle Beach is my true home, I did miss my craft room. Couldn't wait to get back to it. So here I am coloring some more leaves. This one starts out with red throughout the veins of the leaf, and then some orange spreading out from that, and then onto yellow, or like an orangey yellow, and then a brighter yellow. And I did most of the leaves like that. It was either orange and yellow, or different shades of green, or red to yellow to, or red to orange to yellow. That's how I did all of them. After I finished coloring up a few leaves here, which I used two darker reds and then went on to the orange, I used, I believe, B14 for the sky. I used E47 and E29 for the ground underneath the pumpkins. I did not show that on camera. And then I use, I believe, R39 to go around the outer border of the picture. Yes, R39. After I color that all out, I'm going to fussy cut the entire thing out off camera. And we're going to move on to coloring the slimline. So I'm just going to show you here one haystack and then the last haystack. So I started out using wide 28 and wide 26, and there wasn't enough depth to the haystacks. So I added in, I can't remember, but it will pop up in a second. See how it's just kind of yellow, golden yellow? YR24. So I went in with that first, and then with Y28, and then colored the rest in with Y26. And believe it or not, after this is all colored in, we're going to fussy cut this out as well. Because I didn't want to create masks for all of it. So I fussy cut it out, outlined the edges with black, filled in some of the pieces of the haystacks where white was showing, you know, because there's only so much fussy cutting you can do. So I did my best around the haystacks and then just filled in white spaces with yellow, the Y26. Oh, I did show you I did a green pumpkin here. That's the first time I've done a green pumpkin in any of these Northwood stamps cards. And I like the way it turned out. I think it turned out pretty cool. So there's that panel all finished. So now we're going to go back to the first card, and we're going to use, I believe this is called Highlander Stencil. I'll put it in the description box below for you guys. It's from Heffy Doodle. And also I used the Heffy Doodle alcohol marker friendly cardstock to color all my images. So I'm using my CP inks, of course, my go-to. And I believe it was ginger, macchiato, and terracotta. So I went in with my very, very small blending brushes and did each part individually. It didn't take me too long. I didn't, of course, show it all on camera, but I believe it took me about 10 minutes to be sure I colored in or blended in everything and left no white spaces, and wanted to make sure that when it was all dried, it evened out color-wise. After that was all dry, I took my Nouveau Deluxe adhesive and glued it onto a black card base, and then I took my fussy cut main image, put some Barely Arts glue. I chose the Barely Arts because I'm gluing it onto glitter cardstock. And it's kind of like an orangey gold cardstock. Kind of matches with the autumn theme. Then I popped that whole thing up on foam tape. Used my Nouveau Deluxe adhesive on top of the foam tape to make sure it stays put. And I centered that in the card, but centered it towards the top so that we would leave room for the sentiment down below. The stamp set came with 2 sentiments. I used Harvest Blessings on black cardstock to pull in the color of the card base, and I heat embossed it with gold embossing powder. So moving on to the Slimline card, I fussy cut that out, and I just wanted to do a simple watercolor background. I'm using that watercolor cardstock that they included with the stamp set for Stamp Wars. And I haven't used my Gonzai Tombies in a while, so I just pulled out that, and I used 2 different blues for the sky, and I wet my paper first and then laid down the color. That way it spreads faster, and I think it looks more natural that way for something like a sky and the ground. And then I went in and did the ground, and I started off with I don't remember what it is, but I do point to them in a minute. I started out with like the only dark brown that was in the set I have. Didn't like it, so I added yellow ochre and some gold to it and kind of mix that up. After I get that all done, I pop up that Slimline image on foam tape, add some Nouveau Deluxe adhesive to that so it stays put once it's on the watercolored background. And the background was actually too wide, and I wanted to add gold glitter strips to the top and bottom, so I put the image up higher, trim that panel down. Now we're going to stamp out I use the same sentiment only because the other sentiment's vertical and there wasn't enough room for it once I trimmed the panel down. So we're going to use Harvest Blessings again, and I heat emboss that with gold embossing powder again. And once that's all heat set, I'm going to measure out and draw a line. I pretty much cut these suckers in half. I started out with a 3/4 inch piece and went in and made them, I think, 3/8 wide, where I would glue the main panel on and there would be 3/8 showing. But it ended up being a little bit too wide, and I ended up having to trim a slice off of the top and bottom strip so that we could still see the lovely maroon cardstock that I used as a card base. And I really like the way this card turned out as well. So I hope you guys like the cards for the follow-up video. I hope you guys check out Stamp Wars if you've never seen it before. Even if it's not mine, you can check out any one you want. I believe Daniel West was on the last one they had, Stamp Wars 21. And I will have everything down in the description box for you guys, including the coupon code. And we'll see you next time, guys. Bye-bye for now.